Wow, what up, world? Teasing Man Live is back on again. It's time to look up because I'm about to cook up. On the low, I got the hook up. Yeah. Back on the scene like the new Petey Green. How y'all doing? I told y'all I'm gonna keep coming back. Yep. Still consistent. Nah, I'm just joking. Um, yeah. As usual with caption, I'm a caption guy. And today, again, drawing for something personal. Depending on when you watch this video, it's pretty current to the time I made this video. So hopefully I'm more insightful on it as a result rather. And I want to talk today about a very sensitive subject, but I feel needs to be talked about openly more often. But first, today I'm gonna be talking about, is there a safe space for men to be vulnerable? So I know most men that hear this probably on the surface that sounds soft or whatever. That's just something, most men will bravado kind of either avoid, don't consider, or, just don't care to. Um, because it seems like it's not in our nature to be vulnerable anyway, you know, and, like, sometimes it's hard being a man, we're asked not to complain about it. I'm not the type to complain, you know. Sorry about that. I'm not the type to complain either. But I put this I put this title and caption today because I was talking with my brothers earlier, and I don't know what you call it, or what I want to call it, but it's like we had a moment, epiphany, a realization that there's a lot of hidden trauma within our lives that has gone unaddressed, and as a result, a lot of things are starting to surface again in our latter years because masking it for so many years only allowed us to forget about it, but it never went away. Trauma that is. And I don't want to disrespect anyone with severe trauma and stuff like that. I don't want to talk like we had trauma, like, but it's trauma nonetheless. Like, like, it's trauma for us how we come up. We didn't even realize it, um, because we were so in tune to what we were doing coming up. We just kind of we went with the program. We did what we had to do, and we was young, we was naive. We mask a lot of things as bravado, especially me. Probably more so me than them, which is the same thing. Just trying to sound clever. Anyways, um, and there's a thing, man. I got two older brothers. I'm the youngest of three. We got this, like, we got a brotherhood that's very connected. Um, like like no other. I'm not saying we the only ones, but like you ain't gonna find nobody closer than me and my brother. So uh for a long time until today, it felt like that was a safe space for either one of us to be able to come to, the circle of brothers and, say what we gotta say. And it is, in essence. Don't get me wrong, like my brother's the truth. I think we just, or I kind of brought it to the attention of my brothers that I think we've been overlooking what we've kind of tricked ourselves into doing because we came up so poor that my brother made this point. We came up so poor that we kind of created these facades, if you will, like, and each of us had our own version of it, and it translated into what it translated to later in life, and we all kind of see how it plays out now, and everybody kind of just grew up, went their way, and did their own thing. Had their family, kids, etc., etc. So our thing when we was coming up, because we were dirt poor. I ain't gonna say dirt poor, but we were poor. And you coming up in New Orleans, you'll get talked about a lot if 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 you're not on the high end scale of the materialistic things, and we fell well short of that coming up. I still have nightmares of that stuff. I think that's why I overcompensate with all the nice things I got today. But nonetheless, it pointed out some hidden trauma, because at the time we created these characters, it's necessary, right? It was necessary to like for me it's Teasy Man. I realized today that Teasy Man is a persona, and Carl Henry is trying to break through, if you will. And you combine that with being brought up in the streets too, like like the rough part of yeah, where it go down at. We was in there. So you add that with being poor, you know, the characters were in full effect. And mom's meant well. She did the best she could. She raised us right. We always had what we needed. So let me be clear. This is not to disparage my mother. I don't want y'all to get it misconstrued. My life was good. I'm grateful for it, but there is some underlying hidden trauma, because we fooled ourselves into believing we weren't poor until we were able to be stable like we are today. And some people will say, "Yeah, that's the goal, right?" And it is. It is ultimate. And I think that's the approach my brother James took. Like, despite it, we still got here, and we not only did all right, we did great for ourselves in our own right, but yet we still get into certain arguments, not realizing that it stems from trauma, and the characters has overtaken the vulnerability part, because me and my brothers, man, they'll eat you alive, like, from what you dress, how what you put on, but like, oh, what you got on, boy, that boy got the rainbow with, they're gonna rib you, talk about you rather. Um, you know, they'll listen to you if you're being sad, say if you had a heartbreak. Yeah, in the moment they're gonna listen to you, but wait till you get over your sadness. Like, they coming for you. So like, subconsciously, I don't think either one of us were being truly, truly vulnerable, because we kind of afraid that our brothers gonna laugh at us from how we sound. So, and it's subconscious. It's not even something we did knowingly. So that's why I kind of say all my brothers, I think we all tricked ourselves um into this position, or at this point, to where we haven't addressed things that really we should have been crying about when we were kids. You know, Me and my brothers built for it tough. Like, when you supposed to laugh, when you supposed to cry, we laugh. We laughed away everything, and it was real jokes. We became real funny, real protective of each other, and we built for it tough, and you know as a result of our circumstances and being a product of our environments. And I realize now that I'm older now, almost touching 40, um, the teasing man persona. I've been in within his characters for so long, I didn't realize I was trying to break free. For example, some of my family members, my brothers at times, my mama at times, everybody in my circle. It's this thing they say that, oh, there he go, he with that teasing man stuff. And I'm really trying to break away from that. But I've been so invested into this persona for so long that it's almost my true makeup. Because I've convinced myself over the years that teasing man is real, when really it's just either my persona or my alter ego or some along those lines. Because little do they know, deep down inside, I've been trying to change that persona. And it really bothers me now that I'm showing growth, and every time something goes wrong, you know, I'm deduced to being teasing man again and not Carl Henry. And some of that is my fault, just to be fair to the people that's dealing with me or my brothers in particular. So I have to take some accountability for that. But I think sometimes, like, I just I just give into the character, because there's been times where I tried to be vulnerable or try to switch it up, and it's a problem with that, or at least it seems like it. So I think at some point I just said, you know what? I'd rather live in a persona than be called Henry, because it's too difficult to battle with, trying to prove that I'm a good person, and I'm not that guy anymore that, people remember me as, the guy, and I was really like that, even though I'm saying persona, don't get it twisted. I was really living like that, but I'm man enough today to admit that I was raised way better than that. My mama taught me better. I had to fit in. I wanted to fit in. I needed to fit in. Where we came up at, especially being poor with it too, you had to develop some type of shield to protect yourself from, from hurt and uh depression and feeling bad and sad about yourself, because, kids don't care about hurting your feelings. And I think to a degree, us as men, we don't care about it until we start getting older. And it gets harder and harder to mask it. And so we just had open dialogue today. And, I kind of suggested that, there should be a portion of our brotherhood where, you know, it was just a suggestion, but it's a portion of our brotherhood where we should be able to come to each other as vulnerable as possible, and we take all that laughing and joking out of it, because a lot of my trauma is real. And it got even realer when I start speaking about it, almost like teary eyed. Well, not almost, it was. It was almost on the cusp of literal tears until something interrupted the FaceTime. But when I was talking about it, it's like I started living it all over again. Like, days when we was picking out people's old shoes for the first day of school, and we all had to look at each other with that look of sadness and embarrassment and humiliation. But we all shared that experience, or how our dad wasn't there like we wanted him to, and watching our mama struggle as three boys in the house, and my brother, my oldest brother, having to give up his childhood for me, and him resenting me for that, and me feeling bad that he had to do that. He get, like, we both feel the same thing, just two different things. We realized that. Like, I realized, and not in a bad way though. I realized he resented me for having to grow up too early, and still, like, to this day, having to kind of play father figure. Me and my oldest brother were more like father son. And the flip side for me, I feel bad about, you know, when I think about it, at least I feel bad that my big brother had to grow up early because of me, mostly because I was a wild. I mean, he had to, and my mama literally asked him, and I think we realized today we've been arguing for years, not realizing that, the love is realer than we thought, because Everything I do is to show him that I can't give you your childhood back, big brother, but I can show my appreciation through how I'm living, how I live. Like, you didn't waste your time on me. Like, I turned out okay. And I always want to make my big brother proud. It's like I realize I don't care about, I'm one of them people, I care less what you think for the most part, except for my big brother, my oldest. Like, he's the one I want to impress. And I think it's subconscious and trauma that I didn't even realize, because I feel guilty for taking that time away from him. So I don't want to feel like he wasted it by me being you know, a fuck up in life, basically. So, I've been living my whole life trying to impress him, and he's one of the most hardest people to impress. So we always clashing. And that's my perspective. On his perspective is, I'm ungrateful. You don't know what I gave up for you and still give it up for you. And you got the nerve and audacity to scream, like, which is valid. We realizing these things. And, if you had to sum it up in the word, it's trauma. And that was just like the surface, and then we start diving deeper into to other things and realizing, like, this circle we built, this brotherhood we built was meant to get us to this point. We didn't realize that when we get to this point, that trauma doesn't go away. Matter of fact, it comes back like Hurricane Katrina. And we just so used to masking it with laughter that that's all we resort to, until somebody get mad and it's a crazy argument again. So we were being insane. So that's why the suggestion came, like, hey man, I know sometimes that bravado we got as men, we don't want to be vulnerable and talk about our inner feelings and, whatever. You can think what you want about me, but depression is real, like, imagine having a persona that you want to get rid of, and everybody, still equates you to that. That bothers me. And again, partially my fault. But, I'm trying to break through that psychological it's like like, I'm just trying to break through the imagery of what I once was and who I am, which is Carl Henry, and start living like my mama raised me to be. Because now my circumstances puts me on an even playing field. So I need a new formula. I only created this character because of my circumstances. And I'm so far removed from that, I didn't even realize that I still been hiding behind the character just to continue to mask the trauma that really makes me want to cry sometimes, or cry when I'm alone. Like, so the older I get, the more critical it gets. So, that's why I captioned this: is there a safe space for men to be vulnerable? Because it's often frowned upon if you're a man and you're vulnerable. Like, like, that's weak. Men shouldn't be vulnerable. And a part of me still want to feel like that right now. But if I'm being real and honest, man, and I ain't sugarcoating it or trying to look good for nobody, man, I be in here depressed. I be in here with anxiety. I be in here with regrets. Like, I hate when people still put me next to the gangster image. I don't like that no more. Like, I'm trying to get to another level in my life. And I know often, a good bit of the time I don't make it easy for people to separate me from that. So like I say, I'm accountable of that. But the accountability is still fresh. So, I'm a work in progress. But we're starting to get to the root of what it all is, and it's the trauma. It's the untapped trauma. Like, we haven't addressed the trauma. So, I think we just moving forward, I think we're gonna try our best to, break down some of those barriers that we built and allow each, and I'm just doing this with my brothers. So if, you can relate to a situation like this, just, try it, we're just gonna come together and it's gonna be some type of space where we could be vulnerable and safe, like without judgment, because once you feel like somebody, as a man at least, once you feel like somebody gonna judge you, especially of something that would quote unquote make you look weak, like you're subconsciously not gonna truly vent, and you still masking the problem that way. You know what I'm saying? So fellas, man, like we gotta get over that bravado imagery. We gotta get over that, man. Men don't be vulnerable, man. We ought to be, because I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted, truly. I'm truly exhausted trying to mask this depression and anxiety and not being able to really say what's truly bothering me at times and what's truly on my mind, and without feeling like, I'm gonna be taken as a chump, because I'm far from a chump. Don't get it twisted. All this topic twisted. Let me be clear. But I'm also, man enough to admit, hey, there's some things I need to address trauma wise in a vulnerable state. And in order to be vulnerable is to be open. And man, when you start opening some of the wounds you had closed up, it get real, especially coming from where I come from. So, you know, I just wanted to get on here while the topic was still fresh. And I thought it'd be good to share with the world and my audience, because I think us as men, there's no safe place for us to be vulnerable. We have to create that space, because we are our own worst enemies. We are in our own way. We've created this narrative that, is men don't do that. Nah, it's time to change that. And the only ones could change it is us. So, I encourage my brothers, to, put that ego to the side, put that pride to the side, all that bravado energy, you know what I'm saying? Find you a safe space and allow yourself to be vulnerable, man, and address your traumas. Stop pushing them along the side of the road, because they ain't going nowhere. They're just gonna keep creeping back. And every time they creep back, it get worse and worse and worse till you in your 40s still acting like you 20. Don't be that guy. So yeah, I think I ended on that note. Yeah, y'all just be mindful of that, fellas, and find you a safe place to be vulnerable. Uh, Updates. Y'all check me out on Teasing Man Live on YouTube, of course on Facebook, Carl Henry, Teasing Man 25, Instagram, Teasing Man Live, TikTok. I got much content in the vault sitting on. Just deciding when I want to release it. So when y'all see it, support it. I'm gonna be transitioning, trying some new things. So y'all grow with me, bear with me. Be honest, because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. But yeah, just be on the lookout for a couple of new formats and segments and how y'all used to seeing me doing things. While still keeping all of the norm, I'm still gonna do these videos and the stuff y'all used to seeing. But I'm just adding on, so be prepared. I'm coming. But yeah, I've been talking too much. Appreciate y'all time. Thank you guys for the support. And until next time, deuce.